Welcome to the Briefing Room. I'm your host, Chief David Malloy of the Novi Police Department, and I have the privilege and honor of serving as your Director of Public Safety for the City of Novi. Joining us here today on the Briefing Room, we have Ms. Beth Morrison. Beth serves as the President and CEO of Haven of Oakland County. Welcome, Beth, to the Briefing Room.
Thank you for having me.
Beth, give us a little bit of background about your professional career and how it is that you've come to work as the President and CEO of Haven.
Well, I began my career in the area of family violence, violence against women, about 30 years ago as a student at Central Michigan University. I volunteered at the shelter when it opened in Mount Pleasant and just really got hooked by that experience and seeing if maybe I could be a part of finding justice for individuals who've been victimized by domestic violence or by sexual assault. And over the past 30 years, I've served in many different capacities. I'm a master's level therapist, so I've done counseling, I've served as a shelter manager, I've done advocacy and support, and I've been now at Haven for 7 years.
Outstanding. And tell the viewing audience a little bit about what it is that Haven does and the services that you all provide throughout Oakland County, communities like Novi, Farmington Hills, West Bloomfield, and Farmington here.
Okay. Well, Haven is celebrating its 35th anniversary of providing services in the Oakland County, basically for Oakland County, but also the greater Metro Detroit area. We provide services around the areas of domestic violence and sexual assault, from counseling services to services for perpetrators, as well as prevention education in the community. Again, primarily serving Oakland County, but we do kind of reach out into the surrounding communities as well.
And I'm very, very proud of the partnership that we've been able to establish from the City of Novi with Haven, in that our officers are training with your folks. Your personnel come down and do actual annual training for our men and women. We have the Haven hotline, if you will, programmed into all the cell phones that we give out to our officers. So when we respond on those unfortunate domestic assault incidents, that we're able to provide those resources. And I think some of your caseworkers have gotten really positive feedback from that in the way that we all work together.
Absolutely. Eliminating domestic and sexual violence is Haven's mission, but we really believe it's the mission of the community, not just an agency's mission. And we know that if we're ever to realize that mission of elimination, that it is a community-wide effort, which involves police, law enforcement, the courts, hospitals, spiritual guidance. I mean, all areas and arenas must come together. And one of the things that we really treasure, it has been our longstanding relationship with many of the law enforcement agencies, because that's often the first point of contact for many victims of these violent crimes. So training police officers, having advocates available to be a resource to police officers when they're out on the street is really a great piece of what we do.
And we certainly can't forget our partners in the prosecutor's office, because they go above and beyond. And I'm very proud of the fact that we look at some of the division chiefs of the domestic violence unit. We now have sitting as circuit court judges, and others who were chiefs of the sexual assault unit who are also sitting as circuit court judges. So we have those type of advocates in very high places, and I know that really puts Haven, and it's really kind of a national model that I think other communities are trying to emulate. Can you maybe touch upon that a little bit?
Well, we really try to, again, it's a community-wide approach, a coordinated response approach, so that each of the systems are in communication with each other, working together, training each other, and really being able to provide more of a holistic approach to the issues, so that we know that a victim doesn't have one point of contact. They may call a police officer first, maybe the first to respond, or maybe they might call our crisis line first. Well, we want both that officer and the crisis line worker to be working together so that they're able to give a consistent response to that victim. And if it goes through the court system, that when they are interacting with probation, when they're interacting with a prosecutor, when they're interacting with a judge, that again, everybody's kind of working in tandem and supporting that individual as they go through that process, as well as on the other side of it, holding the batterer accountable for his abusive behavior as well.
Yeah, and I think you made an absolute outstanding point. It is that multidisciplinary approach that we now take to domestic violence and sexual assault, where a couple decades ago, you would have had a social worker interview a victim, you would have had a police officer, maybe a children's protective service worker or a Department of Human Service worker. Now all that stuff is being coordinated by you all on the domestic violence, sexual assault. We also work very closely with Care House and some of their efforts. And I kind of remember back when I was a detective and some of those approaches and the partnerships we had. The victims value that, because when that night's over, they kind of feel that their world's collapsed around them, where it could be they don't live in the home anymore financially, but people have to realize that there is this resource in Haven where you can provide them with emergency shelter as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Right. We have, it's located in the Pontiac area, the only domestic violence specific shelter in Oakland County. Individuals who are at risk and their safety is in jeopardy would be eligible to come to our shelter. Adults, they can bring their children with them, and we're able to provide a safe setting for them to be able to take a deep breath, figure out what they need to do, look at what they want to do, learn about their options and resources, get connected up with other service providers, whether that be the Department of Human Services, maybe a medical clinic, all the other needs that an individual might have, help them to look at alternatives for where they might go to and where they might live. And so helping to look for housing, employment, career options, financial support.
I think it's all about the way in which you and your team, actually let victims of domestic violence know there is a tomorrow and you're going to be okay moving forward. It might be difficult, but with the help and support of Haven, these things can get done.
We really see our job as to let individuals know that they have choices in life. So being able to educate them on what those choices are, knowing what resources exist in the community, how to access them, whether they be a Haven resource or an external resource, but to really look at all their choices and options. For some individuals, they believe that their only choice or their best choice is to return to the batterer, and we'll support them in doing that if that's what they feel is the choice that they need to make. And so what we'll do is work with them on safety planning. If you're going to return to that relationship, how can you be as safe as possible within that relationship? How to know when you need to leave that relationship if it were to continue to be abusive, as well as an individual who chooses to end that relationship.
Right.
You know, help them to see what's out there, how to go about that in the safest way possible, doing that safety planning, who else needs to be involved in that, maybe child custody issues need to be resolved, financial support, a divorce, those kinds of things.
So if someone's looking to get involved and perhaps even volunteer or make a financial commitment, what's the website for Haven?
Haven's website is haven-oakland.org.
Okay, and we'll put that on the lower third so the viewing audience, because I think that's absolutely critical in getting the help and support of not only the volunteers, but also the public-private partnerships where we need financial support to help that. So.
Absolutely. There's a lot of opportunities for individuals, families, companies, churches to be involved, which could obviously be a financial donation, but there are a lot of many other things that you can do to speak up, to be engaged in the conversation and in the solutions in our community.
That's great. And when we come back from a break, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the programs that you all have in place as advocates in the START program and things like that. So stay tuned, viewing audience. We're going to take a quick break to show you some public service announcements, and we'll be back with the briefing room.